Hi, friends. Welcome to Costuming in Color. We are a monthly YouTube show dedicated to showcasing amazing costumers of color and the people that support them. I'm Gigi, a history buff and a costumer and a dabbleist.
And I am Noelle, and I like to play both sides of the costuming and cosplay world.
Today, we are interviewing Ariane. Welcome to the show, Ariane.
Hi, thank you for having me.
But first, some house rules. The first rule of costuming in color is that we don't talk about costuming in color?
No, the first rule is that you do. Tell everyone. Also, let us know who you would like to see interviewed.
There's a link in the description to a form that will let you tell us who you would like us to interview next. And the second rule is that kindness matters. Aside from that, there are no rules. So let's get into it. Ariane, where are you from originally?
So I'm from New Mexico, which is the state, not the country, the one between Arizona and Texas. That might seem like a strange clarification to make, but believe me, people honestly confuse New Mexico and Mexico the country.
Okay, I'm sorry that happens to you. And also, that's hysterical.
There's problems of growing up in New Mexico. People think we're Arizona.
Well, I love New Mexico. I lived in Albuquerque for a little while, working for the Forest Service, and it was delightful. So where do you live now? And you can give just a region if you'd like, and not a specific city.
I am currently in California in the Bay Area.
She lives very close to me. Ariane is also the only person I will let cut my hair. She has a masterful and broad skill set in life. So
I've been cutting your hair since, I don't know, 2008 or something.
Ariane did my hair for my wedding. Yeah.
Noelle's wedding was awesome, and I don't remember much of it.
Come to think of it, I don't either.
I want to hear all the stories that you don't remember later.
We had an open bar. So, yeah.
I figured.
And it was adults only, so that there were no young people to make people feel like they couldn't go to the open bar.
See, this is why we get along. I also had an adult-only wedding and an open bar.
It's the way to go. Cosplay, historical, or both? Just one word.
Cosplay.
What is the costuming scene like where you live?
Being in the Bay Area, I feel that it's very active and diverse. I don't know everything that goes on here, but there are definitely lots of Star Wars costuming clubs, and I'm sure lots of other things I don't even know about. One time I was at a park with my kid, and there were historically dressed people having a picnic and like flying vintage kites. And so I was like, I didn't even know that was like a community of people that that did cool stuff like that. So I'm sure there's also historical costuming stuff. I'm sure Noelle knows all about that for this area.
What is your internet handle and why did you choose it?
It's super plain and simple. It's just my name, Ariane, TM, my middle and last initials. I don't have a clever name. I don't have any clever, cool names for myself. I didn't care to think of one, so just my name.
I mean, your name's pretty cool, though. Ariane's a cool name, so.
Yeah, I figured you're not going to find very many anyway, so.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, guys. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, so Ariane has called back in on a completely different computer, which is fantastic, and I think we're ready to go. Gigi, I think it was your question.
So in cosplay, what type of characters do you gravitate toward?
I'm still pretty new to costuming myself and not as accomplished yet as other people, but I gravitate towards Star Wars costumes because I'm in the 501st Legion, which is a Star Wars costume club focused on the bad guys. And to become a member in the club, you must submit your costume for approval, and where it must meet high standards for screen accuracy. And to join the Legion, I chose to do the Kylo Ren costume from The Force Awakens because I found it to be a beautiful costume. It moved so nicely on screen, and it was all cloth, so it was something I could actually accomplish. And Kylo's not actually a Sith Lord, but he's the closest that I could get to passing off as a Sith Lord. Since obviously I'm, 5'4", I'm not tall enough to pull off Vader or anybody, and I don't want to shave my head to be Darth Maul. So Kylo was the most doable Sith Lord type guy for me to do. So right now I'm putting the finishing touches on a Boushh costume. For those who don't know, Boushh is, if you remember in Star Wars, it's Leia's bounty hunter disguise, and it's just a very dirty, grungy, armored costume and stuff. So I'm finishing that one up, and I'm going to be submitting that for approval very shortly. And I'm also in the process of making a Cara Dune costume from The Mandalorian. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Not super thrilled about it being a faith character. So
Cara Dune's a good guy though. Yeah.
So she's in Rebel Legion. So okay. That's who I would end up joining Rebel Legion with once I get her approved.
So they let you be in both clubs? You don't have to like swear allegiance to the bad guys or the good guys?
No, there's a lot of crossover between members of the clubs. So
that's cool.
Everyone's pretty accepting of each other.
That's awesome.
Like it's funny to me that you joined the bad guys first. Was that just because you knew people in it, or is it because you like the bad guys better?
It's all because of my husband.
Okay.
He started doing all this. I get into this a little bit later, but he got into all this costuming stuff before I did. I just helped him with it for a while. So he was already in the 501st. So I was just following him along. And, he asked me a long time ago if I wanted to make a Boushh costume. And I'll be honest and say, like, no, that's ugly. But now, a few years later, I've changed my mind and she's warmed up to me.
How did you start in costuming?
Actually, you taught me how to sew.
I did.
Yeah, so back in 2009, Noelle taught me how to sew because I wanted a bunch of cloaks, and I complained to her about how expensive cloaks are. And Noelle was just like, dude, cloaks are super easy. I'll teach you how to make them. Go buy a buttload of fabric. Maybe not those exact words, but
I think they were the exact words.
Close. Yeah, I think you even went with me. And
yeah. We went fabric shopping for the first time, and I think I made like a bunch of those cloaks. Weren't they for your wedding?
Yeah, I mean, you did make a bunch of them. I was at your house a lot.
Yeah.
3 months knocking out all these. We must have bought like 50 yards of fabric. It was crazy.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we did buy 50 yards of fabric.
Okay.
It's a deal.
Okay, but do you agree that cloaks are easy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. Like Noelle told me back then, it's just sewing straight lines. I mean, it's the hardest part about them, I think, is just the volume of fabric you're working with.
Yeah.
It's just so much.
That center seam in the hood is a bitch also.
Oh, yeah.
They scare me. I'm still scared of them. So
don't be.
Well, I don't know. They taught me how to sew, so I think I agree with Noelle on this one that they're pretty easy. But it was just annoying because we were using velvet, and that stuff just gets everywhere.
It wasn't even like awesome velvet. It was like mediocre velvet.
Very mediocre velvet. It just got everywhere. Probably had to clean out the sewing machines a few times. Like, it was just a mess.
I had velvet herpes all over my house, where you just have these like little puffs just constantly coming out of like cats and other things. You're just like, how did that get in there?
Sorry for covering your old house in velvet 10, 12
totally worth it.
How many years ago was that now? 11?
Yeah.
2009.
Yeah.
So with those beginner skills, making all those cloaks, I was sort of guided into costuming through my husband's hobbies throughout the years. He was in film school for a while, and so he always had a lot of like little film projects for his film classes and stuff. So he started wanting some costume pieces made because he liked trying to make medieval type settings, and Noelle remembers this stuff. So there came more cloaks and lots of poet shirts, vests, just various fairly easy costume pieces like that. So I did a lot of that. Then when he got into the Star Wars clubs a few years ago, I had to help him out with some of the pieces, various little cloth. I mean, he does all the armor and everything, all the plastic armor and all the painting, and then I help him out with all the soft parts. And then I also had to learn a bit of theatrical makeup when he decided to do Darth Maul. So that was interesting. So a lot of what I do and have been doing is just enabling his costuming. And only recently, like last year, I've started doing my own. And I mean, of course, I've made things for Halloween and stuff. Like a few years ago, I just made like an Esmeralda costume from Hunchback of Notre Dame for myself. My daughter was the pet goat since she was a baby. It was super cute. I've done like just random other things like a Queen of Hearts Disney bound outfit, a Maleficent inspired dress. But those weren't those weren't like serious costuming. So yeah, that's how I got my start.
So what are your favorite parts of costumes to make?
If I had to say I like any of it, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with sewing, as I'm sure most people do. But like you know. I like the initial construction just to get all the pattern pieces connected, get them out of, hiding in bins and stuff like that. So I just like to get everything initially put together, and it sort of gives me the illusion that I'm making great progress really fast, because it just starts to quickly resemble the thing that you're making, and you can finally see it coming together after it just being all in pieces. But then after that, I slow down when I'm confronted with all the finishing details. I hate them, like hemming, putting in zippers, buttons, anything like that. I don't want to do it anymore. I've lost interest, but I just have to push through. Turns out that the Maleficent inspired dress that I made 4 years ago, I completely forgot to hem it. It was never hemmed. I wore it to Disneyland like that, all frayed. And then I just completely forgot I even had that dress until this past Halloween, when I had to suddenly dig something out to take my daughter out trick-or-treating. So I was like, oh, I never hemmed this. So maybe one day I will hem it.
I mean, it's Maleficent. I think you can get away with not hemming it.
I mean, yeah, if it were a realistic Maleficent, her end of her gown is all,
Yeah.
I mean, mine's not that cool, but no one's gonna care. Walking around in a neighborhood at night. Another thing I really enjoy is making my daughter costumes. She's 3, she'll be 4 in March, but I love making her costumes because it's such lower stakes, since I'm not making something that's going to be sent in for any kind of club approval. They only have to be as accurate as I want them to be, and she just looks adorable. And I just love dressing her up in costumes. She's starting to have a little bit more opinions now, but in the past, I've made her an Alice costume from Alice in Wonderland when she was 1. I've made her a Rey costume from Star Wars, one of the versions of Rey.
That one's so cute.
Yeah, I've made her, there's a kid's show she likes called True in the Rainbow Kingdom, and she's been that character as well. That was just last year. I've made her 2 versions of Padme Amidala, and now she tells me she wants to be Kylo Ren, like her mom and dad.
Are you gonna make her a tiny helmet?
She has like the kids' masks. It's not a full head helmet, it's just the front. She has one of those that she loves to put on. She has like 2 or 3 toy Kylo sabers around the house. I actually have I just started putting together her Kylo costume actually, like this week. So that'll be done pretty soon. Maybe by the time this video's out, definitely will be. And her most recent request though, she was like, I want to be Darth Maul like Daddy. So I guess I'll have to figure out how to make that happen without, shaving her head.
If you do a tiny bald cap, then you only have to paint it once.
That's true. I don't know how those work. It's just like a thing you glue on around the Chuck already 3D printed her a little set of Maul horns. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we'll have that pretty soon in the near future as well.
What aspects of costuming drew you to this? Or like, why do you costume?
Like I said, I watched my husband get started in the Mandalorian mercenaries and the 501st clubs, and, having to help him out a lot, making his pieces and stuff, and helping him suit up. I attended many of his troops. That's what it's called when the clubs get an invitation to make an appearance somewhere. So I attended many of the troops as a handler, which is an uncostumed person who is there to help navigate the costume characters who usually have poor hearing and visibility because they usually have, a helmet on. Like, the stormtroopers have horrible vision. So I would go and help out, make sure they're not tripping anything, make sure they know where to go, make sure they're not getting hassled by guests and whatnot.
So I actually find being a handler useful for anybody who's wearing any costume ever. Like if you have a friend who doesn't want to put in a costume, but is willing to go out with you and like hold your purse while people take pictures of you and like make sure you don't get mauled all the time or like whatever, like being a handler, is fun, and having a handler is awesome. So I trade handler duties with people all the time. It's a super important job.
Prefer it. I mean, you get to see a lot more. I don't know, I guess you're just more aware of the surroundings. You see reactions from people. Like, I love handling. It's a lot of fun.
I love handling too. Like, I would be anybody's handler who needed a handler. Like, I find that gig fun. In fact, when I go to like costume college frequently, I don't costume and I just handle for my friends.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. So yeah, doing all that, I was impressed with the hobby. I saw how much fun everybody had, and they get invitations to cons, parades, charity events, sometimes even private screenings for, like up at Lucasfilm, sometimes they'll have screenings for some of the animated series stuff. So they get to do a lot being in the club. And plus our garrison mates have just been so warm and welcoming. They're so friendly, and it's just kind of like a big family. And, being in these clubs, like, they're worldwide. So if you're in the clubs, like, you can easily make friends anywhere you go. And a lot of people do. They'll hit up the local garrisons if people are traveling, and they'll make friends across the world. So I think these clubs are awesome for that. And so that drew me into, becoming a real costumer as well. And like I said, like, I've gotten to watch a lot of the reactions from people, like adults and kids, just when a bunch of Star Wars characters march into a place and they're not expecting it, and then you just see like the shock and awe, sometimes fear on people's faces, and it's very fun. So I definitely wanted to be a part of it. And on another note, I don't get as mad as I used to when my husband would go do this stuff and spend money on costume things. So I'd say it's also helped our relationship and given us another thing to bond over.
For everyone's information, we are going to interview Chuck as well. So at some point, he will be on this channel with an interview. He's a character. You guys will like him.
What is your favorite or most epic completed project?
I'd say the Boosh costume that I've just finished up. It's a lot more complex than the Kylo one was, and it's challenged me to learn new techniques, and having to work with leather for the first time, that itself was a different experience. I mean, the costume, there's just so many pieces, so many details, and a mix of materials, and it just looks cool.
Awesome.
I have to make sure I get some good pictures of it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I think it's going to be amazing. What is the silliest thing that's ever happened to you during an event?
So I haven't had a ton of events yet, to reference, but I was Kylo Ren at a 4th of July parade last summer. And afterward, I was just standing around in our staging area waiting for the changing room to be unlocked. And Kylo gets some interesting reactions from people. It's like people either kind of like him, are scared of him, or think he's a total loser. It's basically the reactions he gets. I know you're one of them.
I think he's whiny.
He is, but but I like his pretty dress. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there was some kid who had hassled me earlier, as you know, some of the older kids like to do. They like to be a little bit snotty towards the costume characters. So anyway, this kid who hassled me, he followed me to where I was waiting for the changing room to open up. And one thing about the 501st is that it's frowned upon to break character or remove your helmet in front of the public. Like at Disneyland, how people can't ever see Mickey with his head off, like that kind of thing. So anyway, this kid kept asking me all these snarky questions. I don't remember them all. Chuck might remember, but just stuff like, I thought you're supposed to be dead, and just weird stuff. And I managed a 5 to 10 minute conversation with him using my pre-recorded dialogue buttons that are hidden in my glove. It has 8 buttons. There's several phrases programmed to each button, and I press whatever is appropriate for the situation. So, I have one I call it the rebel scum button because it just insults people for being rebels and stuff. So, I have these buttons, and it was getting kind of stressful because I couldn't keep it up much longer. I was just like, please go away. Like, I just want to stand here in peace. Just go away, kid.
You needed a handler.
Actually, Chucky was right there with me. So he was my handler. He was in costume, but he was dressed as a TIE Reserve, which is, if you remember in Star Wars, just the guys that wear a black uniform, no helmet or anything. So he was dressed as that, and he was with me. He knows what's pre-recorded in my glove and my buttons. So anytime the kid asked some weird question that Chuck knew that I wouldn't be able to answer with my buttons, he kind of intercepted, the kid's questions. Anyway, this went on for like 10 minutes, and it was a pretty annoying situation because I just wanted him to leave me alone. But I successfully stayed in character, so yay me.
That's awesome.
Also, that same troop, before it started, the sleeve on my zipper broke. Luckily, somebody there had black duct tape, so we seriously just duct taped my sleeve shut. And I just had to do my best to keep the tape hidden, but without looking awkward during the whole parade. So
costume malfunctions are real.
What is your favorite costuming memory?
So my favorite costuming memory, it's not about me being in costume, but I'd have to say it was the time that I took my daughter to Disneyland when she was 2. That was over a year ago. Galaxy's Edge had just opened like 2 months before that, and I wanted to get pictures of her with the Millennium Falcon wearing her Resistance Ray outfit that I had made her like 6 months before that. She had outgrown like the pants and the shoes, but she could still wear the top stuff. So anyway, that was just a lot of fun. A lot of people were just gushing over this little tiny Ray running around, in her costume, and people loved her. And she had a fantastic photo shoot with a PhotoPass photographer in front of the Millennium Falcon. And that dude was awesome. Like, he spent so much time taking her pictures. Like, he was getting down on the ground to get, like, cool angles of her and stuff. Like, it was great. And I totally forgot about bringing her props, like her toy saber. But the dude, like, happened to have the toy Ray staff with him. And he's like, oh, she can hold this. I'm like, oh, awesome.
That's awesome. I find that those PhotoPass guys are actually really awesome if you actually engage them as a human being. Like, if you go, hey, I would really like to get some really awesome shots, like, and you seem really good at this. Like, just, you know, do a normal human interaction with them instead of just like robotically walking up and taking your photo. If you talk to them, they will do some amazing stuff. Like, I've gotten some crazy shots in Disneyland because the guy was like totally willing to do cool shots like that. So yeah, pro tip.
Yeah, that's cool. I never thought, I mean, I didn't ask him to do any of this, but usually they just like shuffle you through really fast because there's usually a line for all these things. But yeah, that guy was really awesome. And my kid, like, she was so excited about it, and her being like 2, she was surprisingly compliant with the whole photo shoot. She wasn't trying to run off or anything like that. So we got some really great pictures out of that. And then as it got dark, I was like, man, like, I really wish we had a lightsaber. So I just went into the store and bought her the like $40 light up toy lightsaber. So we went back out, got back in line for pictures in front of the Millennium Falcon, and then we did a nighttime photo shoot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really great. Yeah, we got amazing pictures from it. And now I really miss Disneyland.
Yeah. Yeah, once you go to Disneyland enough, you start having days where you're like, my friend Sarah and I go to Disneyland and we just walk around the park and take photos at every photo pass place and see how good of pictures we can get from them. So it's one of those things. The thing about Disneyland is there's like different levels of you can go for rides, or you can go for atmosphere, or you can go for pictures, or you can go, you know, like there's different missions you can have at Disneyland on different days.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we've done the different missions too. Like, because Chuck and I used to do the annual passes a couple years before we had a kid, and we would kind of cycle through like, okay, we're gonna get pictures with all the princesses, and and then we really got into pin trading.
Oh yeah, that could eat your whole day easily.
Yeah, so then it was all about pin trading for like a solid year or 2, and then we realized, you know what, we actually haven't been on a lot of the rides.
For people who don't know, some cast members wear pins, and if the cast member is wearing a pin trading thing and they have pins on it, they have to trade with you, so you can give them your worst pin and get their best pin.
When you find the fakes, that's bad, but
yeah,
we got all into that.
So you can run around Disneyland all day hunting down cast members that have...
Oh yeah, you could just not even go on rides or do anything. That can take up your whole day if you're that into it. And they know how to get your money with all the like mystery packs and limited edition pins. Like, yeah, I don't even want to think about how much we spent on all that.
Yeah,
we've quit now, but
at some point you come to a realization like your budget is not okay with this, like, because these things don't mean stop. Speaking of, what cons or events do you recommend?
I recommend small ones because it seems like everyone loves to attend the big conventions. Those get a huge turnout no matter what. But like small library cons, local comic shops, and charity events. There's always a lot of charity events supporting various causes, like lots of 5Ks and relays and stuff like that. All those events, they need love too. They're small. They don't get a large turnout like the big ones. You get great reactions from people because usually there's a lot of people who are not expecting to run into Vader or whoever. And big cons, I'm not trying to knock big cons or anything. Those are fun too. But big cons they can be too costly for families to attend. So if you can make appearances at all these smaller local events, that gives families a lot of opportunities to make fun memories and, get photos with high quality costume characters without, having to go to Disneyland or whatever. I've even heard people comment after getting pictures done with Star Wars characters, like, wow, that was better than Disneyland. That was easier than going to Disneyland.
It's certainly cheaper.
Certainly cheaper too, yeah.
Yeah, I also think that small events are awesome because there's not going to be a ton of costumers there. And even if you don't have like Star Wars, even if you're just like I've shown up to libraries in my bustle dress and stuff, you will never get more love in your life because those people are already attending a small event and not expecting what they're going to get. and they flip out when they see you, and they're just like, oh my God, this is the best. Like if you go to a big con, you're one of 150 costumers there.
People are expecting to see that at a big con.
Yeah.
So people come in already, I don't know, maybe a little bit jaded or something.
Yeah, totally.
But at the small ones, like, you know, there's not much else to look at, so it makes you even more awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you need an ego boost, this is the place to go.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm curious, what's your theme song for sewing or crafting? Or do you have like a certain playlist that you play when you create?
I try to listen to my own music when I can. I think it's fun to sew to like the Pirates of the Caribbean theme song. It's just so epic and big.
You feel epic.
You know, and then the Darth Maul theme, Duel of the Fates, like they're just big, epic soundtracks, and I feel like it makes me work faster if I'm on a time crunch. So those are fun. Other than that, my playlist is full of 9 Inch Nails, Smashing Pumpkins, Muse. I like feel-good island music, Disney songs, sometimes some 90s dance music or a Celtic station, just random stuff.
I'm sorry, did you say that there are Celtic stations?
There are, yeah.
Can you send me a link?
Yeah, I was on Spotify and I just searched like Celtic music, and you know, there's a playlist. So that's what I did. Yeah, but then also my kid likes to hijack my phone when she hears me listening to my own music. She knows how to work my phone and knows how to work Spotify. So she'll just grab my phone and be like, I want to listen to my song. And she'll find her playlist and everything. And she has her own playlist on our Spotify, and then she just takes over. Other times I'm sewing to the sounds of kids shows in the background. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, anyone?
Yeah.
You know, because that's how I need to get stuff done sometimes. It's just, here you go, kid. Watch a show. I need to work.
I'm going to send you some Bluetooth headphones. Because that's what I do. I listen to Bluetooth headphones so I don't hear the sound of my husband yelling at people in meetings.
Yeah, and she could be ignoring me all day, but she would choose that moment when I have headphones on to start bugging me.
Of course.
I already know.
Yeah.
That's just how 3-year-olds are.
Yes. I believe they remain this way until they die, basically.
Well, I don't know.
Because my husband will not talk to me all day, and then all of a sudden I have headphones on and he's like, hey babe, can I ask you? And I'm like, and then he'll go away and then come back, oh, I forgot to ask, and go away, come back, oh, and what would you, and I'm just like who inspires you?
I follow some historical dress or costume people. See, I don't actually know if I should call it costume, but I guess you guys call it costuming. Anyway, I follow some historical dress accounts, and I find those really inspiring. Just, I mean, personally, I have very little interest at the moment in taking up historical costuming, but I love watching what people are doing. It's so fascinating, and you guys do much harder stuff than I ever will. Like, I have tons of videos saved that are just like I've been meaning to go through all these videos just to watch, I don't know, hand stitching tutorials, and like, I want to learn these techniques. They're amazing, but I don't feel up to tackling that challenge yet.
I think they're different. Like, it's just a different kind of hard. Like, vacuum forming your own armor is difficult. Like, dealing with Warbler is not actually easy. Like, the paint layers, the like 400 layers of whatever paint you have to have on, and then distressing, like, that's hard actually. And so it's not like what historical costumers do is more difficult. It's just different.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't do any of that plastic armor stuff either. That's all my husband's job.
Sure, but like not everybody has like a team of people, you know. Some people have to do both, and so
right, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but I just, with historical costuming, like, I like to watch people's process, like making a corset. I know you've offered to teach me how to make one, and I may take you up on that one day. but like it just seems so hard. Like, I don't know, like just how precise, like I guess it's the level of precision.
So I have a pro tip for you. You can take a chalk pencil and draw those lines on your corset and then just sew on them. That's what I do. Like, and then you take a lint roller, which I always have one handy, and just roll that chalk right off. Nobody has to know. It's a big secret. Anyway, it's just straight lines. I'll teach you. No problem.
One day.
One day.
Later. One day later.
So, someday, not now.
Yeah, and I don't know much about all the different eras either, so I'd also have to find, what appeals to me. So
I'll put you in a bustle dress. You'll love it.
They look amazing.
Everybody looks amazing in a bustle dress. This is why I like it. Everyone looks great.
Maybe one day we'll make one.
Okay.
Ariane, how do you think we can be better mentors for our community?
We need to keep in mind that not everyone can afford or even wants to spend lots of money on the most expensive, the most screen accurate, or the most historically accurate stuff. I think we need to keep elitist attitudes in check. I believe the Star Wars groups can be guilty of these things and maybe even have a reputation of doing those things that I feel would might put a lot of people off of even joining the hobby. Just maybe, I just don't want people to feel like right out of the gate they're not good enough to do this stuff.
I will be honest, it's a reason I don't join it, because I don't have to pass a test to go do a club thing. Like, I'm an adult. I don't need a test.
I mean, for me, in some ways, like, yeah, that does take some of the fun out of it. It's a thing I'm mostly doing for myself, but it's having to live up to, these standards of being good enough. And it's rewarding when you nail all those little details that get you there and get your costume approved. But I mean, it can be, it can make trying to start any new costume just very intimidating. Like, I mean, I decided I wanted to do the Boosh costume a year ago, and it has now taken me a full year to actually finish it because I took so long to start, just because I was just so completely overwhelmed with everything I knew needed to be done.
Just to clarify, when you're in these clubs, you are allowed to buy your costume if you want, right? Like, you can buy one.
Yeah, you can.
You don't have to make it.
Yeah, it's not a requirement that you make it yourself, but just the nature of these costumes, you are going to be doing a lot of it yourself, even if it's just, buying all the parts, but you still have to be the one that puts it together on your own body, makes it fit. I mean, hardly anyone vacuum forms armor themselves, but you have to buy it from people who do. And then you have to, cut it and trim it to fit your body. So there's still a lot of skill and crafting involved, even for pre-made pieces.
Go Jedi. It's easier. No armor. It's fine.
And
also, good guys.
Yeah, and buying commission stuff, I mean, that stuff's pricey.
Yeah, the hobby is very, not gatekeepy. Oh, well, no, it's kind of gatekeepy, but like it's very prohibitive.
Yeah, it is. And that's why if you don't want to shell out all the money, then you have no choice but to learn to make that stuff yourself. So
I want to start a new club that is like all the reject costumes that didn't get into one of the like main clubs, and just like call it the Loser Legion. And like I think that'd be fun. Yeah, we'd have a really good time. Like, we'd be the rowdiest group because we don't care.
And then the thing is, like, the general public, they're not going to notice the difference.
Yeah, totally. If you could give new customers one piece of advice, what would it be?
My piece of advice would be to try not to let this hobby negatively impact your life. That might sound strange, but, try your best not to go into financial debt over this. take care that it doesn't put strain on your relationships with your partner, your family, whoever you live with or share finances with. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but I think these are serious concerns that a lot of people don't see coming and being a side effect of this hobby.
Especially with social media and stuff like that. Like if you're gonna post, you're gonna get trolls. So you have to limit your exposure to people yelling at you while you're in your Darth Maul costume and not having enough buttons to yell at them back. You know, so like you've gotta make sure that you only put yourself in situations that won't disrupt your mental health also.
Yeah, that's true. And just kind of be mindful of the character that you're portraying and how people are going to receive it and react to it as well.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of problems with that, but like I said, a lot of people think Kylo's a loser. Most people will not, give me a hard time about wearing the costume, but,
But
like
your costume is beautiful. Like, I don't care how Kylo Ren was in the movie. I mostly am like, wow, you made a bitchin' helmet and a really beautiful costume, so.
When I saw your Instagram shot of it, that's all I thought was, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
I didn't think about the character of Kylo Ren so much, and I didn't think that you were trying to embody the character traits and life choices of this person. I was just like, that is a beautiful costume, and she did a great job making it look like screen quality.
My one piece of advice is do not adopt Kylo Ren's life choices into your own life.
Well, I don't know my dad, so I can't kill him.
Yeah, that's good advice. Don't. And I don't think I wouldn't think that somebody would, though. So the fact that they come at you with these snarky comments, it's kind of ridiculous. It makes me question their life choices, not yours.
Well, it is kind of known that the 501st and the Jedi Legion, is that what they're called? Rebel Legion. They try to stay in character. That is a thing with them. So if you know that, then some people go to try and get them to break character by harassing them. They do it at Disneyland too, because there's stormtroopers that walk around there, and so people harass the stormtroopers. But
yeah, another minor issue with the clubs and the kind of reception you're going to get is, you can't really control who signs up for an event, but very often it's a mix of characters from, the original trilogy, the sequels, the prequels. So often you'll get a Vader and a Kylo in the same troop, and a Leia and a Rey.
mm-hmm.
And obviously those timelines are completely different. Those people are not alive at the same time. So, and a lot of people like to point that out. If they
troll.
Yeah, people like to troll.
Yeah.
When there's a Vader and a Kylo at the same time.
You're like, hi, we're at a costume event. Can you just chill out? It's 2020.
Right.
It's been a hard year. Can we just mellow?
Yeah, people just like to troll.
Yeah.
So just kind of know that too when you go into this.
If you have a message on equity and inclusion that you'd like to share with us, we'd be happy to make some time for that right now.
Yeah, so as someone with Native American heritage myself, I am half Navajo. Please be mindful of cultural appropriation. A culture's traditional dress is not a costume. And racist Halloween costumes, I'm looking at you. So it's something that bothers me. It always has. People love to, I think a lot of people know a little bit about our country's history with Native Americans. And, that discrimination still goes on. Of course, discrimination towards everyone still goes on, but, it's don't steal our stuff. Don't look at our history. And, Native Americans were forbidden from practicing their culture, dressing the way they dress. speaking their language, doing all those things that they've done forever. And here people are, making them into costumes, or there's tons of examples that could go on for a while, but and just know that we are still here. People tend to talk, not everybody, but a lot of people will talk about Native Americans in the past tense, like we're mythical creatures that don't exist anymore. It does happen, but we are very much still here, although it can be hard to tell when we're not draping ourselves in turquoise and feathers.
Well said. Well said. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Ariane. It was lovely to get to know you a little bit better today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you also to our viewers for joining us today. We'll leave a list of Ariane's information down below so you can follow her on all of her platforms.
Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe if you haven't. If you have a customer of color that you think we should interview, use the form that we insert in the description box below to tell us about them.
And make sure to leave a little love for Ariane in the comments below as well. Stay safe out there, everyone, and bye for now.